Alright guys, so this is part 2 to the repairing of the gears in the GP30. I wasn't anticipating a part 2, but as they say, I don't know what they say. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, I guess. So there's not a problem with the gears. However, I'm now losing contact between the track and the locomotive for some reason. And I've been doing a little bit of research on that, and apparently it can be caused by too much lubrication in the gear housings. So don't freak out. I know I'm not using a pad here, but I about pitched the engine onto the floor the other day when I was using the pad, so I'm just not going to use one. Alright, so I'm going to take these newly installed gears out of here, and I'm going to soak them in alcohol to try and clean off any lubrication that may be causing me to lose contact. I don't know if you can see that, if it's showing up very well, but there's quite a bit of oil, it looks like, on the inside of that gear cover. So I did, at the advice of one of my subscribers, and I apologize, I'll put his name at the bottom in the comments, suggested that I replace the Athearn wheel sets with the nickel silver wheel sets that came along with the Proto 2000 logo. So I've done that. Basically just took the gears off of the Athearn shafts and put them on the Proto 2000 shafts. So I didn't film that. Didn't think it was all that interesting, but so anyhow, that's been done, and I'm going to pull these out now. And apparently what happens is that lubrication gets on these little square bearings that are on the side of the axles, and that's what keeps the axle inside the truck. And it also provides electrical contact between the wheel and the little contact bars here, which then pass the power up to the motor. And it looks like, just from looking at these wheels, that the inside of the wheel itself is fairly corroded, or not corroded, but maybe just covered with some dirt and maybe some lubrication. So I have a little pot here that I'm going to put some alcohol in, 70% isopropyl alcohol, and I'm going to soak these gear sets in here, and hopefully that will help clean off some of the gunk and help improve the connection. So what I'm doing right now is just extracting them, and they come out fairly easily. And I'm just going to take a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Let me move this out of the way. And a little bit of rubbing alcohol is all I have, so hopefully this will be enough to do the trick here. The symptom that I was experiencing was that the engine ran fine, as you saw last time, after I put the new gears on. But then about 2 or 3 days later, it came back in and wanted to run the trains, and this engine just would not move. There was no contact at all, no power to the engine. So I'm going to try this little trick here for cleaning up the gear sets and see if this resolves my issue. So this is my regular toothbrush, by the way. Yeah, right. It used to be my regular toothbrush, but not anymore. So just want to try and, clean up any accumulated lubrication that's on there. Apparently, these locomotives were noted for having the factory lubrication kind of eventually turn out like peanut butter. It would thicken up over time, and then it would completely isolate the electrical connections from the motor. So I didn't really see any of that type of lubrication, but this one did have quite a bit of oil in it. So I'm wondering if maybe that might be part of the problem. Alright, and it looks like inside the bowl here there are some smaller particles, some smaller dark particles that are accumulating in there. I'm just going to take a look and maybe just try and clean up these contacts a bit here too. I don't want to do too much with the alcohol here. Just kind of clean up the contact areas. I'd also seen where a guy had taken a small piece of stranded wire and had actually soldered stranded wire onto one of these square bushings on the inside here, and so soldered it from the square bushing onto the inside of the power pickup here, which he said resolved the issue for him. So I'm going to go grab a paper towel here and we'll clean this off, put it back together, and see if we have the results that we need. Alright, so I've got a paper towel here. I'm just going to try and clean down inside these contacts with my paper towel to make sure I wipe off the alcohol and any accumulated lubricating gunk that may be in there. Doesn't look too bad. And I've got a small pair of pliers inside the towel that I'm using here to clean things up. There is a ton of oil here. As you can see, got some dirt on the towel. This may be one of those cases where just over time I'm going to have to repeatedly clean this out until that lubrication finds its way out onto the wheels or somewhere. As I said, you know, this engine was advertised as new old stock, and it said that it hadn't been used, but I think it had been very well lubricated, you know, probably overly lubricated as it was in storage, and I think that may have caused an issue here. Yeah, there is some gunk here. I don't want to let the alcohol get down in there too much. Just trying to clean off the surface of the gear case here. All right, so let's dry off the wheel sets and see if we have achieved our desired result. All right, here we go. Hey, all right. Looks like that did the trick. So let me run it in reverse here. All right. All right, so I'm going to run down here and put the GP40 on with this. Surprisingly, these two locos run really well together. The GP40 is an Atlas, and it just, you know, they just run really well. So you can see they start out nice and slowly together. All right, let's hook this thing up to a train. Okay, here we go. Sorry about the jostling of the camera. Just trying to remove it from the tripod. So these are running at speed step 7 out of 28, and they run nice and smoothly. You can see there's no buffering at all, or maybe just a little. But what I did on deciding on which direction to run these things was I tested them running independently of one another. Well, what I mean by independent is that they weren't connected, and just ran them around the layout a couple of times to see if any one was gaining on the other. And the 40, the Atlas, was just a little bit faster than the GP30 was, the Proto 2000. So I put the GP40 in front. It didn't seem to matter whether they were running forwards or backwards. So when I run my consist, I like to have one forward and one backwards. That's just me. That's my preference. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's what I like to do. So I just want to make sure they make it around the layout here one time without any power loss. So I'm sure hoping that was the reason. Okay, so this is one full circuit. So I'd say that was success. Well, anyway, I appreciate everyone's comments and watching, and I know this video may not be too interesting, but it may provide some assistance for folks who might be having a similar issue, trying to get a loco troubleshooted or troubleshot, I guess, if it's not getting any power. So, oh, one thing, I think this was in the last video, but you know, this is that little intermodal yard that I was talking about earlier. Little is the key word here. You know, I've probably got too many containers stacked in here, but I just wanted to put some in here to see what it looked like. I might actually expand this a little bit. I've got, I don't know what that is, maybe 6 inches between here and here, that I could make that intermodal yard a little bit bigger. It'd be a little bit pie-shaped there, but you know, what the heck, works for me. So anyway, thanks for watching. I may have more frequent layouts coming in the future. More frequent layouts. Man, can you tell I've been working too hard? I just got back a few hours ago from a business trip, and I've been out of town the last 3 weeks. A few more frequent updates than I have been able to post, since now at least I'll be at home and can work on the layout a bit more. I will show you one thing. All right, let's do a double layout update here. Get down underneath the layout. I have my power booster in, and my DCC power box is on top of that, and this is the booster on the bottom. I've got some cleanup to do on the wiring, as you can see. So I had used some of those little adhesive wire ties there, and they've come loose, so I've got to get that back up, get it all cleaned up here. I was telling you about having to drop feeders from all of my spurs, my sidings, so I've got that to do yet. And I just noticed as I was crawling around down here on the floor the other day that, get you past the Christmas picture, I don't have the other connection done on my inside main line over here. So I'm surprised it's actually picking up current, but I guess, you know, that speaks well for how well the track is laid. So anyway, I have that one that's hanging down there needs to be connected back here to that inside, to the inside main, and then again dropping feeders from my spurs and sidings and yard areas. So as I crawl up off of the floor, that'll probably be something that I'll be working on this coming week, and I'll probably go ahead and show that. I purchased a new soldering iron because I knew had that work up coming. I've also got, I've moved this roll of paper towels now about 8 times. I've also got some track I need to paint here. This one siding that comes down to my little warehouse in the lumber yard, I've got to paint that, so I picked up some paint, some paint, and eventually I'll come back and I'll paint all the turnouts by hand. I'm going to use a paint pen to do that. I didn't want to take the time to try and, you know, tape them off and spray it, so I'll just use a paint pen on there. I'll probably just paint the outsides of the rails enough so that it looks like they're weathered. It'll be good enough for me. And then once I get all that done, I've got to insert the ties where I had removed them when I was laying the track. So you've probably noticed in the videos I've posted, there are gaps here and there. There's a big one over here. And I've got some work to do here on my bridge as well. I've been using this big old screw here, there's one on each end of the bridge, to hold it in place, and then I just slide the connectors for the track. I've left enough room here to slide the connector back so that the bridge just lifts out, and then when I put it in place, I fasten it down and slide the connector back on. I think there's been a little bit too much movement in the bridge because, as you can see, this one track is loose here. I hope you can see that. So I'm going to use the solder the track to the screw method that I know Derek Glass has used, and several other folks have used that process. So obviously I'll want to do that before I ballast, because the plan is that you drive a screw in down underneath the track, and you have the top of the screw head touching the top of the track, and then you solder the track to the screw head so it doesn't move. And I think once I do that, I'll be good to go as far as that. The problem I'm having is when I run the train the other direction, when I have the train running this way and it hits this section here where this connector is, sometimes the engine will derail, sometimes some of the cars will derail. So I'm thinking it may be a bit out of gauge there. And I guess that's about it. There have been, I've had a lot of comments about the background buildings. Radical Flats from kingsmill.com. They have, oh, by the way, they are running a special. They are not going out of business, which I know there's been some rumors to that effect. I emailed them yesterday, I think it was, regarding an email notice that I had received that they're having a 40% off sale during the month of May on their flats. So, that's a pretty big savings. They're only $6 per flat now, so that's what, $2.40 off per flat. So, you get something for, they're like $6.50. So what would that be, like $4.10 per flat with free shipping? Can't beat it. So I know one of my subscribers said that he had only received a partial shipment of his order and was concerned that he hadn't received the second piece, and was trying to contact Kingsmill and hadn't had much success. I did send them an email regarding the sale, and they replied to me the next day, so I hope that's a good indication. So anyway, enough. I think I'm done talking. I'm rambling now. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for commenting. We're still running really well here. Take care, guys.